the chief coach at AutoCrit. I think you what's your exact title?
I think it's partnerships and projects, but I also am a writing instructor and an author coach, and I just wear a lot of hats over at
Yeah,
AutoCrit.
you're like the head elf at Santa's grotto. Like,
I like that. I'm gonna change my business cards.
well, so today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at AutoCrit and how it can help your business. Because I know a lot of people I speak to don't know too much necessarily about or AutoCrit, or maybe they haven't used it, or they don't know all of the features, or they're not very good at using it, and they're not getting the most out of it. So I've got some questions planned, which people have sent me before, but I thought
Sure.
firstly, let's just get you to give us an overview about what AutoCrit does, and then maybe we can go straight into the demo from there.
Fantastic. So, AutoCrit is a platform where you can plan, write, edit, analyze, get market analysis, and format your book all in one place. So, one login, you get to do all of those things. We have a vibrant author community, so you can interact, kind of find your author village. Writing can feel very lonely sometimes, so this is an opportunity to have people along the way. We have guest speakers all the time. We have our academy arm, so you can learn craft in addition to special guests. I know you've been one of our special guests, Teddy, to come on and show people not just how to improve your writing, but also how do you sell the dang thing? How do you sell the book? As I don't want to just empower you to write the book. I want you, if you want to sell your book, I want you to be able to sell your book. So we have various things with our academy that can give you that knowledge, and then our staff. We were built by authors for authors, so we have multiple best-selling authors that work with us to provide that academy content and also to kind of help us develop these new features. So that's who we are.
Brilliant. Well, what is it about AutoCrit that makes it different from tools like Grammarly or Pro Writing Aid and things like that?
I think we are just a completely different tool. We are a platform. We get to do all of these different things. So we are not just here to do grammar and spelling. Instead, we are looking at things with our story analyzer like story structure. We are giving you unlimited feedback as AutoCrit Pro. We don't deal with like a token system per report or anything like that. If you're AutoCrit Pro, then you get unlimited access to our system. So if you want to run your whole backlist through Story Analyzer or Backwards Blueprint, knock yourself out. We have that market analysis feature with our market fuel. So we have that ability to give you that kind of in-depth analysis of who your target demographics are. What categories should you put this thing in? What kind of lead magnet ideas? What are your marketing hooks for that you can pull out and use for social media ads? These are kinds of things that we provide because we are a platform where you can write within AutoCrit and be part of that whole ecosystem, or you can bring your work in. We understand that people are very attached to their writing process and where they write, so you can just import your work into AutoCrit in order to do that.
Nice. So one of the questions in the from the audience is it are there any differences for or how well actually the exact question is how well does it work in non-fiction versus fiction
Yeah,
and also non-fiction formatting?
yeah. So we have actually a whole separate story analyzer specifically for nonfiction. So we're going to be looking, and I can show that in the demo as well, is that we're going to be looking at different elements because your audience in nonfiction is going to be different than if you're writing romance like me. So we're going to be able to kind of give you that analysis, and we have that created specifically for our nonfiction authors. So we have not forgotten about you. We just built you something into the writer's desk specifically for you.
Oh, nice. Well, why don't we go straight in some of the features of AutoCrit? I mean, you are able to share your screen if you want to, so
Okay,
that if you want to, have I don't need to give you permission. I think you can just share your screen. I think.
I'm gonna try. We're gonna see. Let's do this. I
I'm
like
so,
it. All right. Can you see my screen? Yes,
yeah,
I can see
brilliant.
my
Thank you very
screen. So,
much.
okay. So this is right as we log in to the writer's desk. So this is the kind of interface that you see right here. You have your projects and files, your story ideas, and your goals and stats. What I'm going to do is, since we were just talking about nonfiction, I'm going to scroll down. Let's go like this to our demo file. We're going to look at our nonfiction. I keep looking at the shared screen instead of my screen. My apologies. I keep trying to click it. We are going to look here. So this is what it looks like inside of your writer's desk if you are to work on a project. Let's say you imported this in. This is what it looks like. We have all of these tabs right here. So we have our planning, analysis, pacing, dialogue, and so on and so forth. These right here, from pacing all the way over here to readability, these are going to be our individual like line editing reports and things that you can get an analysis on your work. We over here, we have our genre comparison. So because we're writing nonfiction, we're going to go ahead and change this over here to nonfiction. Let's make it academic today. This is a biography of Florence Nightingale as our
So
demo
basically,
file.
whilst you're writing,
Yeah.
so essentially, whilst you're writing within AutoCrit itself, you can start getting feedback on your writing as you're writing it.
Yes, and that's what I use it for all the time because I want to know how can I improve where I'm at in the moment because I hate rewriting. I hate it. So I'm
Yeah.
the person who runs the story analyzer multiple times throughout my drafting process. So you can adjust all of these things. I personally like to have a clean interface when I'm writing. I don't like to have a lot of the distractions, so we kind of have these nested over on the side so you don't have to play with them if you don't want to. Now, with nonfiction, when we run our analyzer, oops, click the wrong one, go back, nonfiction analyzer. We are going to look at the chapter by chapter. So we're going to look at our synopsis. Who our audience is, who is the target audience for this piece, because that is important with nonfiction especially. What does the structure and organization look like? Clarity, is your point coming across in a way that people can understand? um,
Yeah.
are there argument, persuasion, tone, and interest and engagement? I think is a really important one for nonfiction. I work with a lot of other coaches, and oftentimes we have people writing lead magnets or freebies for their coaching clients. They're using AutoCrit to help create that. Are you writing something that is engaging? And that's
Right.
important.
Okay. Nice. And so when you're writing in here, is there are you able to write like off AutoCrit and then bring it in here to do the assessment if you want to?
Absolutely. We have a lot of people who do that. So you would just go over here back to upload a file. You can upload it in a docx,
Hmm.
RTF, or plain text. If you want to upload, say, you're writing in a platform that does things organized by chapter, so it's a separate file for each chapter, you can then upload it all in one document, or you can keep that separation chapter by chapter. You just drag and drop to upload right here. And then you can organize down here in your projects, you can organize them with your files, projects, and so on and so forth. So you can put it to whatever level of organization you want.
Yeah.
You can have that so that it stays familiar. You can have a lot of people do versions, but then you can export it right back out as a docx, or you can use our formatting tools to do EPUB or PDF, and you can take it back to wherever it is that you're taking it.
Nice. There's a lot of people asking about market fuel in the chat as well. Do you mind
Yeah.
going over that a bit? Because I think that seems to be one of the more exciting parts.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Let's do market fuel on our fiction to start. So we actually just added these new tabs for people that do use AutoCrit. Now you can have your tabs on the side in addition to coming over here. But let's go to the analysis. We're going to go market fuel lives in our fiction analyzer. So right here, this is our familiar for our fiction, not nonfiction. So we're going to go down and see these, and so we have everything from conflict to characters, deep POV, all of your world building, I like this one. Possible contradiction events. What did you do?
That's such a diplomatic way of it saying, by the way, your book doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah. Well, you get in the flow, and sometimes you're just writing away and you're like, uh-oh. I actually use the example all the time, as in one of my earlier books. I accidentally killed my character in the early part. It was like chapter 4 or 5, but he was still alive in chapter 17, and that was a whoopsie. So,
Yeah.
things like that. There's big things, but then there's little things as well. Your timeline analysis is also part of this. So let's move over to market fuel, and I'll go over the analyzer again in a minute.
I tried to write a novel using a short novel using entirely AI just as a lead magnet for a project I
Hmm.
was working on. And when I put it into here, there was a lot of contradicting storylines in AutoCrit coming up. So that's one thing to check if you are using AI to write your entire book. You're outsourcing your brain to someone else.
Yeah, definitely pay attention to your line editing, making sure that you have that information. So your market analysis, now this is the Wizard of Oz, so it is going to have that classic literature part. I can pull a different demo file if you guys would like, but this is going to give you a market overview, your target audience, the competitive landscape. Now, again, this is reading it as an existing adaptation, market trends, recommendations, risk assessment, similar books. It's going to give you, I use this as a romance author a lot because I need to know who my comps are. And that helps me with targeting for ads and so on and so forth. So I like to say that if I write a romantasy book and someone's like, cool, you have some winged fae, so you must be like Akatar. I'll be like, well, actually, no, it's not. But if Akatar comes up as my similar book, it's going to tell me why it's similar. Maybe it's just that I have winged fae in a fantasy like setting. Okay, but if it has other themes, those are going to come out and I'm going to be able to decide, is this an actual comp or not? And we have that for the analysis on Market Fuel. We go to our front and back. So it's going to give you some book title options, a style, kind of audience, who is this title targeting, your suggested cover image, and so on and so forth. We're going to go with the trope-centric title options, book series names. We do have some blurbs as well as a condensed sales copy version. So when you're putting your book in a promo and they're like, condense your blurb into, you know, 32 words or less,
Yeah.
then you have an option here. It's going to tell you who you're targeting as well. We have our search one. So this is going to give you some prod keywords. It's going to give you niche specific keywords. Scroll down here. Amazon categories, subcategories. Do you want to put them in your themes or tropes, settings? Again,
So
your comps. So yeah,
there's
and
there's
buy
quite a lot
pack.
of there's quite a lot of information in here already.
Yeah.
So is all of this generated by you typing it in, or is this taken like from the manuscript and like using some sort of AI, or is it like you telling AutoCrit what you want to be, what you want your tropes and things to be?
No, it actually is going to read
Yeah,
your manuscript, and it's going to pull out what's in your manuscript.
cool.
So that's what we'll show backwards blueprint in a second, and so that's another one that we use. It reverse outlines your entire book for you, so it's going to pull your character archetypes, and your themes, your tropes, and things like that, so you know. Here's some of the sample ad copy that we have for you. I've actually used some of this Facebook copy on some of my own for my ads, and it is converting. So I can, anecdotally, I can tell you that this is working for us. Potential lead magnets, ideas, and so on and so forth. So that is market fuel for our fiction. I'm so excited about this because it's helpful to have this kind of market analysis before you do it. And the cool part about market fuel is that it's not just part of the analyzer. You can actually do it as part of our story builder as well. So you can get some pre-validation of your idea before it starts. You don't have to be completely done with your book to run market fuel. You can kind of see where you're headed throughout it.
Nice.
So
That's
yeah.
really awesome. With the Facebook well the ad posts that it
Hmm.
gives you. Well, let's have a look at some of the examples of that it's given you. I know it's Wisdom of
Sure.
Oz, so it's a bit
I can. Do you want me to pull to a different
no, it's
fiction?
fine.
Okay.
Everyone knows the story of Wizard of Oz, so it makes
Yes.
sense.
Let's go with um I do like the social media copy as well, the with the suggested hashtags, but let's do a character-driven one. So from the Kansas prairies to a fantastical land of magic, Dorothy's quest is as inspiring as it is unpredictable.
Hmm.
Follow her and her unforgettable companions as they navigate challenges, learn valuable lessons, and transform through every adventure. Click now to join the journey.
Cool.
So
It's really good.
yeah, it's stuff that does convert on social media. If you're especially if you're doing batch testing for a bunch of ads or A/B testing and you want to throw some copy in there to see what is working,
Hmm.
sometimes I find that having to write many different versions of the same copy is time that I don't want to spend doing. So this is going to give me some options that I can play with.
Yeah, nice. Um, that's really cool. What? Let's go to the next feature you're going to talk about.
Yeah, we can talk about backwards blueprint if you would like.
Yeah. So backwards blueprint. So basically, so before you write a book, you write an outline, then you've got the book, and backwards blueprint. That does it then create you another outline so that you can like cross-reference them against each other? Is that how it works, or is it
If
something
you're a
different?
planner, yeah, if you're a planner and you have an outline, you can definitely do that. I actually don't outline very much. I'm a plantser. I have a general idea of what's happening, but I allow for quite a bit of discovery in my
Hmm.
writing. So this is going to again read whatever you have over here on this side. It's going to give you your story premise, which is very condensed. It's going to give you your target genre and your subgenres. Why? And these are reflecting the story's premise. It involves magic, adventure, personal growth in an imaginative setting. So it's going to tell you why it chose these for your book. If I'm writing, forced proximity romance, and all of a sudden I run backwards blueprint and I'm like, this is psychological thriller, something has gone awry.
Yeah.
So I like having this here. We're going to go down to our target tropes. So these are 5 tropes that it pulled out for Wizard of Oz. It's going to analyze your story premise and give you that promise of the premise. Did your story meet it? Or is it leaving some room for additional development? What is the novelty of your story? Is it predictable? What about your characters, your genre, and your tropes? How does all of this fit in? So you're going to get that information as well. Then we have our world building. This is great because you can copy it over to your notes as well so that you can save this. I write in series and in large interconnected worlds. So I'm going to be comparing this information to make sure that I didn't, add a different thing into my small town that wasn't there in the previous book.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So we can go on down through world building. You can analyze your world building. I find this to be super helpful. Is it integrated into your plot?
Hmm.
How well did you build this world? What about your character development? Is it consistent?
Yeah.
Because I see that a lot, especially with some of the authors I work with, is that we build these intricate worlds, but then there's a lot of inconsistencies in them, and readers love to find the inconsistencies in your world building or your magic system. Just speaking from personal experience. And then it's going to give you some options that you maybe didn't explore. These are some ideas for you. So, and then our characters, it's going to give you their names, wants, skills and flaws. What is their evolution throughout the story? This is a great thing to compare to your character development sheet if you fill one out. What is their audience appeal? What is their physical characteristics? I am part of the can't remember anyone's eye color club for my books, so it's going to give me what what I said somewhere in here,
Yeah.
as well as their archetypes. So, yeah, this is this is backwards blueprint. It does all of these characters, and then let's keep scrolling down.
So would you use this
Yeah.
kind of as a report on yourself, like to work out if the output
Mhm.
you've created is what you sort of planned before you started?
Yeah, it's as someone who does not outline, it's going to give me something to export and then use as I go into that intense editing phase. So I can compare
Hmm.
that. If I have a human editor helping me with my books, I usually do. That's going to give them kind of a general overview. I have several folks over at AutoCrit too that are using this to prep their books for audio because it's going to give you more in depth about your characters. So they actually are including the backwards blueprint with their package to send to their narrator to be able to help prep for audio as well. So there's a lot of different ways to use it. The other cool thing is that it does build out your beat sheet for you if you are not a beat sheet person. I'm not a beat sheet person, but you need a beat sheet. It's going to actually populate your beat sheet based on what you wrote.
Nice. Okay, cool. And say, for example, you were doing it the other way around. If you
Hmm.
were like creating a plan and you weren't like how
Hmm.
you write, with like a pantser, you're doing
Yeah,
it like you're creating a big
super
plot.
planned.
How can AutoCrit to help you to basically do the same as this but beforehand?
Yeah, so we have our story builder. So you can go over here to planning. We're going to go to our fiction story builder. Um, let's do a new story builder idea. So you would then fill in all of the information that you have. And if you don't have, this is where you can generate a new idea based on what you put in. So you could have 1 to 2 sentences about your premise, your genre, your tropes. It's going to give you that analysis. You can build out your world this way and then have it linked directly to your working document so that you can refer back and forth.
Nice.
And you can
And
also then run market fuel on it to decide if it's worth pursuing or not. I like to check.
ah, that's a
Yeah.
really cool idea. So basically, you can do this plotting section, then work
Hmm.
out if it's a good fit for the market before you've spent the time like writing through it, and that's really nice.
It is.
I need to go and test that.
Yeah. Yeah, I do that for my plot bunnies because I like to write weird stuff, and the market doesn't always want me to write a, honey badger shifter that's also a criminal defense lawyer. But I
Sounds like a bestseller
maintain,
to me.
I know, like I maintain that the world might need that, but I'm at least able to put all of that in and run market fuel to decide between two ideas. Usually, I'm like, do I want to keep writing cowboys or are we going to cozy mystery criminal defense honey badgers? We don't know.
um, Now, one of the questions that a lot of people asked me before is, say you, you write this manuscript, but then you need to do some editing, and
Hmm.
what are the best tools within AutoCrit to sort of do that editing process? I know we've sort of been through some
Yeah,
of the constrictions and stuff now, but
yeah. Let's
um, and how quickly does it usually take you to edit I don't know, like a standard
yeah.
sized book, let's say for 60,000 words or something?
Well, if I am like if I'm just going through my manuscript, I've run story analyzer probably 3 or 4 times at this point if I've before
Yeah.
I've hit the end. So I've fixed a lot of those developmental level issues. If I am just going from line editing to preparing for a manuscript, then I can usually do that in a weekend. Um, by spending a lot of time on this. I have to listen to my book. We have a text reader that's part of this. So I actually listen to my book multiple times before it comes to market. That's part of my editing process. But I would use my favorite reports are things like tense consistency because I don't know, I have a mental block when it comes to that. It's going to give you different, you can highlight them. For example, you can go through in line by line with the highlighting and decide whether or not it needs to be changed. That is a unique thing that we do here at AutoCrit is
Wow.
that you have to decide if you are going to want to change it. It's not going to auto change it and thus take all of your unique voice away. It's going
Yeah.
to have you go through, does this work? Like with adverbs, for example. Um, Everyone loves to hate adverbs.
I think they get a bit of a bad rep.
I like adverbs especially in dialogue because when I'm writing informal conversations, people tend to not speak incredibly formally. It
Yeah.
would be very odd for my characters to have perfect grammar. So I run this show all, and it's going to decide. I get to go line by line, just following the highlighting, making the changes as I go along, and decide if this is what I want. And then we have our little tabs here that you can find your adverb report and you can flip in between all of the different things you have open, so you don't have to keep opening things.
Nice. Okay. This is good because I think a lot of people sort of pass over these things when they
Hmm.
do the editing themselves. Like I think the tense consistency, you have to have quite good attention to detail to notice that, I think, if you're editing a book yourself.
Yeah, and you can compare this not just to your genre. Like I'm still an academic, so we're gonna move it over here to let's do fantasy because this is the Wizard of Oz. So that's going to, let's actually do cliches. So it says that I have 14 cliches in this book, and in fantasy the average is 7. So if I
When you
want to meet those averages, I
when
might
it
want
says
to
a
do this.
cliche, is that like the whole thing is a cliche, or is like cliched sentences, or is it like cliche like you know okay, like a
Yeah,
baby.
so it's
Okay.
like a baby. So you can go and find out. Sometimes you're like, no, actually, that was intentional.
Yeah.
But other
Okay.
times you're like, oh, this is especially helpful for my historical writers. What cliches are you using that may not be appropriate for the time period?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
That's all right. No worries. So with when you're looking at these cliches, the 14 doesn't sound like a lot for a whole book. I mean, but you're
Well,
saying that 7 is normal.
yeah, so this is based on the genre averages. So if I'm comfortable with leaving all 14 of these in here, I can just close the report and say, cool, I'm good with my cliches. Let's talk about redundancies and, move on. Or let's talk about unnecessary filler words. As someone who uses dictation for a lot of my drafting, and we
Hmm.
have smart dictation built into the writer's desk. So I love our dictation. Um, as you can tell from my speaking patterns, I do use filler words. I'm working on it, but I do use filler words, and that does happen in my manuscript. It irritates the heck out of me, but I'm able to then do a quick search and delete. Um,
Yeah.
we have the ability to auto format and auto punctuate your dictation inside of the writer's desk. I've used pretty much every dictation app on the market, and I really just keep coming back to AutoCrit specifically for that smart punctuation, the smart formatting, because I hate looking at a wall of text. Teddy, I hate it.
Yeah.
If there's just a block of text, I'm just like, I don't want to keep going.
Yeah. So when you're doing this editing,
Mhm.
if you when you say you wanted to do it as a non-fiction book as well, would it be exactly the same process, or do you need to change any of the settings?
No, it should be the same process. You're just going to go back over to, let's close out of here. Let's go back to here. So there we go. So you're going to go back to your nonfiction,
Hmm.
and then you still have all of these same tabs up here.
Great.
So you're able to run that.
Interesting. Um, when it's sorry, what was I going to say? When it comes to editing the book, are there particular things you think people overlook sometimes when they're, especially if there's is there anything that makes it obvious that it's not been edited nicely?
I think, outside of checking your actual, grammar and spelling, those are big typos that people find easily.
Yeah.
It's checking things like your dialogue and your dialogue tags, especially in fiction. I We have some creative dialogue tags in romance sometimes. I was reading a book where I swear every single interaction that the hero had, he was growling at her. It was like 60,000 words of growling of he growled, he growled, he growled. So making sure that you're paying attention to how you're using dialogue tags, for example, or what is the frequency, because we all have favorite ones. So
Yeah.
what is the frequency we're doing? I think that things like that are they're little details, but they have a really big impact on the reader experience
Hmm.
and thus your reviews and thus your ability to continue selling your book. So we don't need to have, especially in contemporary romance, he doesn't need to growl every single time. He doesn't.
Some growling's okay.
Yeah. Situational growling is great. Love that
Yeah.
for them, but we're not growling the grocery list to
Yeah.
someone.
Fine.
So
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
Now with AutoCrit's pricing model and
Mhm.
also the way that you can like use it. So firstly, well, how's the pricing work? And like, are there like limitations on, for example, you can do 100,000 words a month or something like that? How does that work?
No limits at all. So we have our free forever plan. That
Hmm.
free plan is not going to have our advanced tools, things like Market Fuel, Story Analyzer, Backwards Blueprint, and we do have a few of the line editing reports. So if you just want to write inside of AutoCrit, then that is definitely available to you. We also then we have AutoCrit Pro. So there's only two levels. You're either the free forever or you're the AutoCrit Pro. And AutoCrit Pro, we give you unlimited access to all of it. So if you are we had someone who was like, "Can it run my 300,000 word book?" Yeah, go for it. It can do it. It might not be instant. You might have to go make a cup of coffee and come back, but it
Yeah.
will absolutely analyze your entire book and give you that chapter by chapter. If you want to use it every day because you are running, I guess, your whole backlist, or you just maybe you write a ton of short stories and you publish them every single day, then yeah, there's no limit. Use them as much as you want. We want you to be successful. We want you to be unlimited.
Yeah,
And so
nice.
yeah.
What's the pricing of the pro level?
So for our monthly, we are $30 a month. If you would like to go annual, that drops down to $15 a month. So it's like getting 6 months free because
Nice.
it's yeah, so it's 180.
I've got a few more questions that came up. So, do most people use AutoCrit as a daily writing tool, or do they use it more at the editing stage to go through the tools we just talked about?
It really depends on what your goals are and where you're at with your writing process. I've discovered I've had a lot of folks that used to write in a lot of different platforms that have kind of solely migrated their work over to AutoCrit because it
Hmm.
is one. They don't have to keep uploading and then versioning and doing all of that. You can do it all in one place. And then they're running those line editing reports. I have a lot of folks that like to go chapter by chapter with their editing so that they can say that one's done and they move on to the next. So you're able to get all of that done. You're able to run the analyzer. You're able to double check your backwards blueprint or your market fuel and then keep writing without
Yep.
having to figure out the versions. But whatever your process is, if you are really comfortable with a different platform for drafting, but you really want the editing tools, then we try to make that as easy as possible for you to just bring your work in and use it for what you're using it for.
Nice. That's a really good answer. Um, are there any? Does AutoCrit help you do anything like prepare the book for submitting it to an agent or anything like that?
Yeah, so we actually have a lot of folks that use, again, with our comps and our synopsis. We have our AutoCrit 101 is available on our YouTube channel. It's available to anyone. That's going to cover a little bit about how do you write a good synopsis? How on earth are you incorporating your comps and your market positioning into your query letter? So we give you a lot of data. We also have regular pitch it events for our AutoCrit Pro so that you're able to practice or you're able to get feedback on where that's going. We do have a developmental editors and folks that have experience with pitching and trad publishing on our AutoCrit author services team. So we do offer those additional services if you want a review, for example, a human review of your pitch letter or your query letter to kind of make sure that you're headed in the right direction. So we try to be all encompassing. We do have quite a few trad authors who use AutoCrit as in addition to our indies.
Yeah, nice. If you make any of the changes in your reports, sorry, in your manuscript when you edit it, and say for example you improve the dialogue or you remove some of
Mhm.
those um, cliches or anything like that, is there any way of seeing like how the book has improved compared to what it was before?
You can. A lot of people do is they like to export one of the reports that'll have where it was, and then they'll run the report again, and they'll just compare. I have many monitors situation happening right here, so I will have it up on one, and I will compare it on the other side just to see that improvement sometimes.
Yeah, nice. Are there any other features that you wanted to give a demo of with AutoCrit before we sort of close off?
I think we've gone over all three of the story builder, the analyzer. Let me go back into that one. Oh, I'm still in nonfiction. Let me go back to this. Do do do. So when looking at the analyzer, and the analyzer is by far one of the ones that people just keep coming back to because they love it, and I love it. I encourage you to give it a shot. This is going to give you the overall. So we showed you the chapter by chapter, but this is the overall of your work. So it's going to give you that overall premise, which is helpful, especially, if you're trying to figure out what did I just write? Did this did this story work? It's going to give you examples of where you excel, specific examples. So chapter 1, This is where you excel in fulfilling the premise. It's then going to give you your conflict through lines. What are your external conflicts? What are your internal conflicts? What is happening? And what are some suggestions for potential conflicts that exist in your manuscript that you didn't explore? So, how can we make this better? And that's one of the things I love about AutoCrit is that we're not going to go arbitrarily go in and add a moral dilemma
Yeah.
into your book, but we're going to suggest that maybe if it fits where you're going, you could explore that. We have improving specific conflicts with chapters. Here's your overall timeline, chapter by chapter. Obviously, this is not the full Wizard of Oz, so it's only going to end, I think, on chapter 6. Here's your unresolved plot threads. I use this on every book I write. What did I forget? Your theme analysis, how is this manifesting? What is the interpretation of the theme? Here's some ways to make that theme better. Does it conform with your genre? Or did you write something that's a mishmash? Where does it potentially have those conflicts? Because this is so important in understanding the book that you have when you're bringing it to market. Because if you understand your genre and your themes, you're going to better understand who your target audience is. So, this is giving you that information, and it's a comprehensive analysis that is, and you can again, AutoCrit Pro, you can run it as many times as you want. I try to run it at the halfway point usually to
Yeah.
kind of get that information.
Right. Okay. I love that. That sort of missing the conflicts and suggestions part, so you can see
Mhm.
okay how you can add a bit more depth to the manuscripts. That's really amazing.
Yes, I really love it.
Yeah. Cool. And just last thing before we go, could we go because I know that you do a lot of content around like helping other authors and
Mhm.
training. So, how does that work, and how can people join?
Yeah. So part of our AutoCrit account. So I guess two different ways. So I'm going to go over here to community. So if you're part of AutoCrit Pro, you would click on the calendar. Oopsies, I'm in my demo file. Hold on. I have to log out. There. So here we go. We have our community events. So we have things like late night sprinters. We have our mystery club, for example. We have planners because we're in the middle of novel 90 right now, which is totally free if anyone wants to join. It's a 90-day writing challenge to get your novella done in 90 days. So we have all of these events. There's something happening every day. Those are part of AutoCrit Pro, unless it says premium. So those would be part of AutoCrit Academy. In AutoCrit Academy, over here, doo -doo -doo, um, these are all of the courses that are currently available that you can sign up for. Maybe you need to know about ABCs of author accounting. I am not an accountant. I will always refer you to your accountant for anything financial. Maybe you want to learn about the art of comedic communication. We have an expert series where we bring in subject matter experts to talk to you. This is where we have a stand-up comedian who's also an author. How do you make your books funny? I don't know. I want to know. We had a professor of folklore and a folklorist come on to talk about how to write folklore. Maybe you're writing battles. Let's make your fight scenes better, things like that. We have some free of courses that everyone gets. So the fast track to a flawless draft is included. Even if you're a free member or you're a pro member, this is included as Academy. We have our story prep toolkit, story prompts, and so on and so forth. But maybe you want to know how to get into audio. We're going to bring in someone to talk about that, or mastering POV, or self-publishing course, which I teach, and so on and so forth.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this has been great. I mean, I can't wait to get. I haven't been using it as much as I should. I feel like I'm not getting the most out of it. So this is the kick up the bum I needed to start actually paying attention to what I'm meant to be doing. Yeah, if people want to sign up, I put link to this in the show
Mhm.
notes of this, and this will obviously be not just live; it'll be on there forever as well, so
Mhm.
people can sign up whenever they want. But thanks so much for joining us, Becca,
Yeah,
and
thank you
yeah,
for having me.
hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Absolutely, and thanks again. Have a great day.
If people want to, sorry, just last, if people want to get in touch with you, is there any place they should do that?
Yeah, so if you go into AutoCrit, just go to our website and you see this little blue bubble in the bottom right here. That takes you to support. Just click that. We are 100% human powered support. You will not be ever be interacting with a chat bot. You interact with people. One of them's me, and our support team's fabulous. Just tell them you have questions for Becca, and it will get routed directly to me, and we can chat.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for coming on, and we'll speak again soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Bye.